everyone! Now that the new set of Star Wars Unlimited, Shadows of the Galaxy, has been out for a while, I decided to switch things up and go with the dark side this time. So, I'm going to be taking us through my Qi'ra deck. Started out as a list found online, and then I've made a few changes from there. Qi'ra does cost a resource, and to tap her, to deal 2 damage to a friendly unit and put a shield on. So I'm not real used to playing blue because I preferred my Leia deck, which was green-red. So this one's a little different for me. Pretty cool though. With this, I do run the energy conversion lab, so I've got blue-green here. I'm gonna start with my ground units, and I do run 3 Hylobon Enforcers. So with them, they have grit, and I like to try to get these out in my opening hand so I can use Qi'ra's ability. Since they cost 1, I can use 1 resource for them, and then my other resource to deal 2 damage to them and put a shield on. So now they are instantly a 3/4 instead of just a 1/4. Next, I run 2 Val cards, and she is a 2/4. When defeated, you do get to put 2 experience tokens on a friendly unit, so she's fun to get out fairly early on as well too. There are bounties on both of these though, so I do like to be a little bit careful about how many bounty cards that I'm putting out, depending on who I'm playing against, which if it's Clay, there's going to be a lot of bounties. Next, I run 3 Scout Bike Pursuers. This is the same thing as the Enforcers. Use Qi'ra's ability, get them grit, so then they become a 3/4 as well. Next, the Client. I only run 1 of him right now. He does already come out shielded, and for a 2/5 at a cost of 3, I thought he was pretty good. There is a bounty with him as well too, but I do like that he's obviously a little heavier on the defensive side there. Next, I've got 2 Embos. So with this one, when it does complete an attack, if the defender was defeated, I can heal up to 2 damage from a unit. So I don't have a ton of healers in this deck, so this is quite helpful in that regard. Getting close to finishing out our ground units. Oh, that's not that one. 2 Lieutenant Childson. He's great because he comes out as a sentinel, so that way I can cover some of my ones that are grit, who are a little bit heavier hitters than this lieutenant here, and then I can reveal up to 4 blue cards from my hand, and the majority of the cards in here are blue. For each card revealed this way, I get to put an experience token on him, so he can quickly become a 6/6. Sayonara-san, or Sainara-san, she is going to be also with grit, so she's 3/6. This is another great one to use Qi'ra's ability on to give her that shield token, and then to put the damage on there so she can become a 5/6. Next, Gideon Hask. He's also just fun to look at, but when an enemy unit is defeated, I can give an experience token to a friendly unit, and he's a 5/5/5 all around. So while he's going to be more of like my mid-game type, where I am getting bigger aggression and defense here with him. And then to round out the last of my blue ground units is Snoke. I only run 1 of him because he is an 8 cost. This one was pretty fun to play against a Palpatine. My opponent brought that one out, and so Palpatine is a 6/6 as well. But with Snoke being his ability giving that non-leader unit a -2/-2, and in this case, the Palpatine was not the leader, I was able to overpower him with my Snoke, obviously. All right, moving to green ground units. I do run 3 super laser technicians. This one's a staple from the first box. I want to get these out as soon as I can because I want them as more resources so I can get as quickly to my higher ones like Snoke as soon as possible. I do run 3 phase 3 Dark Troopers. They also have Sentinel, and when combat damage is dealt to this unit, I give an experience token to it. So it is a 3/3 all around. It can do some big stuff, but not up against anything super big. So I try to get him out as quickly as possible too. I run 1 Rook. It does already come out shielded, so there's no reason to use Qi'ra's ability on him, so keep him as the 3/6. And then if this unit deals any sort of combat damage to a non-leader unit when attacking, you automatically defeat that unit. So again, I am trying to get out my super laser technicians, ramp up as quickly as possible on my resources, and get out cards like him. Next is Maul. I really like running him. He is great. So he's a 7/6, ambush, overwhelm, all the big stuff. And I can choose another friendly underworld unit, which I do have a few of those. And then if I do, I can put that combat damage that would be dealt to Maul onto that unit instead. So again, keeping him as my big heavy hitter coming in. Lastly, for my ground units, I run 2 Darth Vaders at the moment. So he also has ambush like Maul does, and then this is a staple from the first one. I feel like you already all know this, so you're gonna search the top 10 cards of your deck for any number of dark side units that are combined cost of 3 or less. So depending on what I've got, I could get out another super laser technician just to get some more resources out. I could look at one of my Hylobon enforcers, something obviously fairly small. Moving to my space units, I'm gonna start with blue for that, and I run 2 Inferno 4s. So this one is not super heavy hitter, but when it's played and when defeated, I can look at the top 2 cards of my deck. So I'm basically scrying if you play Magic, and I can put them on the bottom or whatever the case is. So this could help me if I have this out and I know I'm gonna be playing Darth Vader fairly soon. I could determine if I want those cards on top, just so I know what I could play next with Vader. Then I've got 2 Clan Saxon Gauntlets. This has Sentinel. This is the bigger heavy hitter. Obviously, it costs 6 though, so. But when this unit is attacked, I can give an experience token to a unit before damage is dealt. So, could give it to this one, and that way it would be a little bit more protected before damage is dealt back to it. Next, for the last of the blue space units, I run 2 First Lights. This one has grit, so this could be a potential good option to use Qi'ra's ability on and get it even above that 4, so it could become a 6/7. And it does have a smuggle cost if I was doing that. I don't typically do much smuggling with this deck, but that one is an option if you are running something that's more smuggly. Moving on to my green space units, I run 3 Consortium Star Vipers. This one is the only other one outside of Imbo that does give me any sort of healing, so it does have a restore too, only if I do have the initiative though. That is it for my space unit. So now going into events, for blue, I run 2 Covert Strengths. So I can heal 2 damage from a unit and give an experience token to it. There's a smuggling cost on this one. I run just 1 Vigilance, and that's because it is a double blue, so it is going to cost me 6 resources to use instead of just the 4, but I run it because of all that it can do, and it'll change depending on obviously what the scenario is and my opponent. Moving to green events, I run 3 Timely Interventions, and this is to give someone ambush, which again can be very helpful, especially if I don't have the initiative and I'm trying to get stuff done and I don't want to wait, and I don't like waiting anyways. So I do like that. I like ambush. I like to get in there and do what I want to do. I run 3 Overwhelming Barrages. If you're not familiar with this one, you should be. This one gives a friendly unit a +2/+2 for this phase, and then it deals damage equal to that card's power divided as you choose among any number of other units. Super helpful if you've got stuff that is Sentinel and you're struggling to break through that. You can easily get that done, and then even put some damage on somewhere else if that's an option. But love running these. It is a game changer. Now moving on to upgrades, I run 3 of those. So there's 2 legal authorities. You attach this to a friendly unit, and then when played, I can the attached unit captures an enemy non-leader unit with less power than it. Obviously they get that back when that one's gone, but this can be quite helpful if I am trying to get rid of something very annoying on the board, and it does give you +2 to defense on that, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for your opponent to get their card back. Finally, I run Traitorous, just one of these right now. So when this upgrade becomes attached to a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less, I can take control of that. And then obviously they get it back once this is gone. This is also just another way of taking cards from your opponent, just like Legal Authority is. Okay, so there were a few cards in here that do give me ambush. If I'm still feeling like I'm at a bit of a disadvantage, that is when I want to use my Energy Conversion Lab for anything that costs 6 or less. Use the epic action and give it ambush for that phase. Now, for Qi'ra, the right time to deploy her. Obviously, it's a little tricky depending on what the scenario is with your opponent. So you can deploy her on 5. I don't always, and that is because of her other side. So she will heal all damage from each unit, and that is for you and your opponent or opponents if you're playing Twin Suns. And then you deal damage to each of those units equal to half its remaining HP, rounded down. So if I'm very close to getting rid of some bigger units, I don't necessarily want to deploy her, because that'll just make it even harder to take those units out. So you have to think about when exactly is the right time to deploy her. And although she says she's a 0/8, she's actually gonna come in as a 4/8 with 4 damage already on her because of grit. So sometimes I will do it on 5, sometimes I won't. It just depends on how it's looking, and particularly if I have gotten Super Laser Technicians out as resources, that could be a little bit of a game changer depending on when I'm going to deploy her. Reasons why to play Qi'ra. Besides her just being awesome in general and the best part of solo, most people will underestimate her because she is a lower cost to deploy. Going up against other lower costs to deploy leaders, she can just devastate them by her single ability when she's deployed. So getting out like Han Solo, take him down to half health just immediately, and then coming in with one of my bigger guys, easily taken out. If you are interested in Qi'ra and you're not really looking to run green with her, you could also run red and use Tarkintown as your base, and that could be very devastating as well to opponents. So she is a bit of like an anti-control type of leader, and she does a very good job at it. Let me know in the comments below what you would change from my deck, what you would run, maybe like a 3 of, or just only 1 of, or if you've played Qi'ra and your thoughts on her. Thanks.